I am very traditional, but I make good money. Does a woman have to have assets or money in order to attract a masculine provider man? Okay, babe, hear me out. You will always pick and attract those at the same level of consciousness that you are in, okay? So, despite however much money you have, the level of consciousness that you're in and the energy that you have surrounding money, the idea that you have about money, that's only what you are going to be able to draw in. So remember that traditionally women didn't have money because they literally couldn't work, okay? They didn't have a means to provide for themselves because they weren't able to work outside of the home. They had to rely on their fathers, and then their father giving them away to a man that could provide and protect for them. Okay, so they needed men to provide them with just the basic necessities in order for them to survive and make a good enough living to where they could have their children, stay at home, raise them, and just live a very average lifestyle. So with that, you have to understand that as your base in order to first be available yourself for attracting a masculine provider man, okay? Know the role of a man and know the role of a woman. And then when you are so grounded in those roles and the ways that works because you understand it biologically and hormonally and psychologically, then you will be able to then attract a masculine provider man who is very confident and proud of his role as a provider. So if you don't know that a man is supposed to provide, because men who do provide for women and children are highly favored by God, okay? That is their assignment here on earth, is to provide for women and children. The Bible says that a man who does not work does not eat. It also says that any man that does not provide for his own is worse than a non-believer. So understand that if you know that a man's God-given duty here is to provide as a man, and that he will be highly favored, then that is the only way that you will be able to attract a man who is very masculine and grounded in his role of doing that. Okay, so it doesn't necessarily matter currently, as you are a single woman, what you have right now, okay? Because while that's all nice and fun and dandy and it's good to see that you've built up your sovereignty and have things to show for yourself. While that's all nice and all, a man's duty for when he does enter into your life and vow to take responsibility over you, that doesn't matter to him, because if he knows his role as a provider, then it doesn't matter what you have or what you don't have, okay? You are doing all of this stuff, as in working hard for what you have and building up your assets because you have to, okay? Because you are single and independent and you have to take care of yourself. And also, it doesn't mean that that is not attractive. That is a very attractive quality towards even the most provider masculine man that there is, okay? That's a very attractive trait, that to know that you can be so fiercely independent and make your own living to where you have acquired all of these things for yourself, even though you may not have wanted to, right? Maybe you saw yourself in a different place a couple years ago. Maybe you already envision yourself to be married with children and home all the time with your kids, and your husband is the sole provider, but it just didn't work out that way. And regardless of whether you wanted to or not, you still did that and made things happen for yourself. And that, again, is a very, very attractive trait to all masculine men. Right. So I know it gets very confusing because of all the confusion out there, and all of the modern relationships that are being thrown in our face, right? So much so that we even start to question our own values. We start to almost gaslight ourselves and question if we should be thinking and having the belief and value system that we do, right? Because all we're seeing is this like one modern way now. And so we start to feel like the crazy oddballs, right? So the modern relationship says, well, a woman has her own, a man has his own. Woman is 40, childless and single. Man is also 40, maybe has a few kids and single, right? Or divorced, right? And then they come together. They got all their own houses, assets, everything that they've built up over the years, and then they have to decide, okay, well, if we want to be together, like, do we live in your house or do we live in my house? Do I sell, do you sell this house or do you sell that house? Do we keep our houses separately? Do we live together? Do we not live together? Right? This is all the confusion that we now have to face, as modern Western society people. Okay. And really it just creates a lot more confusion there than what there needs to be. But that's the way of this corporate culture. Okay. We're built for productivity, we're built for industrialization, but we are not built to have healthy relationships. So, in other words, no, you don't have to have all your own things in order to attract a masculine provider man. It's just the main thing is that you need to know what your role is as a woman, that you love your feminine energy, that you embrace your womanhood, whether you want to have kids or not. Your hormones are right, they are in balance, you are healthy, you are fertile, you are thriving, again, regardless of whether you want to have children or not. And then you and that if you want to have your own things, buy your own house, build up your businesses, whatever, then there's nothing anti-feminine about that. And there's still no reason why you can't attract a masculine provider man just because you have your own. Okay. Now, I will say that this is really statistically that women do have a harder time finding a man and falling in love with the more successful that she becomes, right? Because we women are naturally hypergamous. We're always going to naturally date up and try to find men who would be suitable mates for us when we are so vulnerable and cannot provide for ourselves, right? That's how we naturally date and marry, okay? It's built into our psyche. It's built into our bodies. Our literal anatomy of our body is built to receive and date men who are strong providers, right? So the more successful and wealthy and things that a woman does build up, the harder it is going to be for her to find a man who can top that. Do you get that, right? So it's going to be really, really hard for her to actually trust in a man and respect a guy that has less than she does, okay? We tend to really resent a man that we don't need or that we feel like we have to mother, and that we feel like he's incapable of caring for himself or for us, right? And that's a whole separate, that's a whole different topic, right? But anyways, it's very easy to be resentful as a woman of a man who doesn't have as much as we do, right? So I really hope that I'm making it clear to you, because while you don't have to have all your own, right? You have to, yes, be able to show that you are capable. You have to have that very healthy relationship to your own internal masculine energy. And I'm going to do a whole video on why your masculine energy is not something to be shamed or shunned, and why it is very necessary to have a good relationship to your masculine side, and why it's not all about femininity and ease and receiving and rest and, you know, love and nurture and all that. Because I was actually just recently getting getting a comment on one of my videos about, I think that she was just very confused about the whole masculine and feminine dynamics, and why she couldn't understand, like, if you are a feminine woman, why do you pursue a career such as content creating, right? Anyways, I can do a whole video on that separately, but like I was saying, as long as you carry the energy of like capableness, right? Knowing that you are capable, and you know, you have a healthy relationship to yourself, and you exude these qualities of independence, sovereignty, assertiveness, you know, strong-minded, groundedness, emotional control. Like, you have all of these traits that are more masculine traits, then you will be able to attract and choose wisely for a masculine provider man. So it doesn't have necessarily anything to do with what you own while you have it, because maybe you have to have it. It's all about the energy that you're carrying with that. Remember, a man wants to be able to show you what he has to offer to you, okay? Men pursue and do the wooing, and they show females, they show up with gifts for females. They pursue them and try to win them over with words, with actions, by doing for them, by giving gifts to them, by providing meals for them. Like, this is the ways that men do the pursuing, by putting towards action and into showing you that he would be a suitable choice, right? This is how men do this. Men want to be able to show off to females, okay? It's also in their biology in order to attract females. You know, there are many scenarios where the woman has her own, maybe she's from a previous divorce, man has his, and then they decide to come together, and it's not like he can really provide her with a house because she already has one, right? That's a very common scenario, right? Especially, you know, in modern day. But there is that mentality of, oh, like, he's a man, he has traits and strengths that you don't have as a woman, and how you need those qualities and strengths in order to feel safe and protected and provided for. And you can recognize those in him, and he can then recognize those traits and qualities in you that he doesn't have as strongly, things that you're more equipped to do than he would be. And that's how it's able to work so beautifully together, because if you are able to appreciate what he does have to offer, and regardless of if you already have your own house. Does that make sense? Like, basically, you have to find those things that you're either not willing to do, or you know you can't do, or you don't want to do about him. That way you can respect him in that manner and appreciate that in him. Okay, let me give you an example. I have always had hardworking men in my family, right? I come from very traditional, hardworking men, right? Well, as a single independent woman, I very much appreciate men who work very hard and can fix things around the house, right? So if I'm living somewhere by myself, I'm not one to go grab a wrench and start working on the toilet, right? Or I'm not one to take out the ladder and start like hanging up curtain rods, or, you know, fixing the things that go wrong with the car. Like, I'm not someone to do that, because men have always done that, right? Men have always done that for me, and also just in my family, right? All the men, they know how to do all these more manly, testosterone driven things. So I can appreciate and respect men who have that work ethic and who have strengths and actual physical strength in doing those sort of more manly, testosterone, left brain jobs and activities. Get it? So my biggest advice to you is don't focus so much on being scared to have all your own things. Do what you have to do while you're single. Follow your ambitions, right? I know this very, very well because I am very ambitious. I have an electricity so fiery for the things that I want to do and pursue, okay? Don't shun that. Don't suppress that. Do what you are called to do. If something motivates you and drives you, and you have to do what you have to do in order to make ends meet, then do that. Don't focus so much on those things. Focus more on the quality of man and the quality of his providing and how strongly he feels about being a provider, and how much he values, providing for women and, the family that he has or wants to have in the future, right? If you want to have children, then you really need to make the decision right now that you want to find a man and you want to get out there and you want to start dating and be really secure in who you are and what you want out of a relationship. Because if you want the traditional family life, where you get married and you start having your kids, then you need to be very clear about that going into your dating situations. That's why I've created the feminine dating course for women who are single and maybe they just want to date to get to know themselves better. Maybe they want to date to find a provider masculine man, how to understand men better. Like, there's just so many things in there that is going to be helpful for you, whether you are looking to be in a marriage, traditional family relationship or not, or if you want to be a more career driven alpha woman, right? It's for either side. Either way that you go, you can still embody some of these traits and these things that I'm teaching to you in that course. So if you have any further questions, just send me an email and I'll be more than happy to help you and guide you through in any way that I can. And yeah, leave a comment down below. Subscribe if you're not already. We have finally reached 1,000 subscribers here on this channel. I am so, so happy. Thank you all so much for being here with me. And I always look forward to reading all of your comments, whether they are trolls, hate, positive, whatever. I love reading them, so never stop engaging. I love you all so much, and I will see you guys in the next video. Mwah.